The I don't owe you anything mentality is killing everyone's social lives, and we have to do something about this. If you've been using TikTok for any amount of time in the last few years, you've probably heard about something relating to this mentality of like, oh, I don't owe you anything, like I can ghost whoever I want to because I don't owe them an explanation, or I don't have to do anything kind for people because I don't owe them my energy. Like, it's basically this super extreme weaponized mindset that came from a good place, and we'll get into all of that in a second, but it's this mindset that got absolutely pushed to like the worst extreme and was made into the worst iteration of itself, to the point where now if we're not careful and we let more people fall into this trap and lie, we are not going to have relationships with one another. I am a huge believer that when women aren't competing against each other, we're actually extremely strong as a unit and as individuals of a bigger unit, and I've made so many intentional moves in my young adult life to stop competing with other women, and I feel like this is something that we all need to hear and we need to listen to, because it's 2025. If it doesn't get better, when's it going to? To me, this is an extremely urgent issue that we absolutely have to talk about, and I'm going to try and give you the most full and encompassing picture of this issue and what we can do about it as I can in this video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Emma Grace. It's lovely to meet you. I'm really excited to have a deep conversation with you. That is something that I absolutely love, and I feel like YouTube enables me to do that, which is basically the whole reason behind all of my videos, is just to have better conversations, because I feel like better conversations leads to collective healing, and this video highlights a very serious need to do that as a collective. Obviously, like all of my other videos, this is meant to uplift you and the women around you, so please don't let this happen in a vacuum. Please go out and do something about this. Please go out and be as kind as you can, but let's get into this because we absolutely have to have this conversation. Before we get started, let me tell you what I'm sipping on. If you're new here, you don't know this, but now you do. We always have a fun drink for every single video. I'm sipping on some broth today. It's raining outside, and I just wanted broth. Sorry. Like, it's so good. It's delicious. I'll tell you guys, I'll put the link where I got this in the description below. I'm not getting paid to say this, by the way. This is just incredible. It's the Art of Broth. They come in tea bags, and then you can just like make a cup of broth with hot water. So loving that today. And I don't know if it's been raining for you, like wherever you are watching this video, but for me, I woke up and it was like pouring rain, and I just knew I had to have some broth. Okay, first and foremost, let's define what the I don't owe you anything mentality actually is and how it got here. This mentality basically claims that each individual doesn't have a single obligation to do anything for other individuals around them. It's super dangerous because this implies that while we are sole actors and we are our own people, we don't need each other, and we sure as crap don't need to be kind to one another. We don't need to respect one another, and we don't need to honor each other as the human beings that we all are, and I find that to be extremely disturbing, and I found myself wondering, like, where did this even come from? This is a terrible idea. So I did some digging and I found some sources, and this was an image that popped up like several times when I was looking into this, and as you can see, this image claims that you don't even owe people your energy or a simple interaction. I just find that to be so disturbing and wrong, because yes, you do. Sorry, this isn't even spiritual, this isn't even religious, but as a human being to another human being, yes, you do. We all owe each other basic respect. We'll get into this a lot more later, but I was wondering, like, what is this about? Why are people saying this? Because it says that you're your own person who can limit interaction, respect, and attention as you see fit. I just find this to be incredibly narcissistic and extremely egotistical, and I've just never once believed that about my own ability to treat other people with respect. I've always been raised to think that you should do to others what you would like to be done to yourself, and I would love to be respected, so I'm gonna try my best to absolutely love respecting others, even when it's hard. This kind of mindset enables people to only consider their own needs and not consider anybody else's needs. Most of us who are normal and have a finger on the pulse of what we owe each other would consider ourselves first, sure, but then very shortly after ourselves, we would consider all of our family and loved ones, and there are some people who even consider their husbands, wives, children above themselves. I think this is incredibly honorable, and I hope one day when I'm married and have kids, I'm going to be able to put them above myself, because that's what we're here to do. But this mindset just eliminates all of that. The more digging I did, the more I found that this mentality became really popular in around COVID time, during 2020 up to now, and that's not shocking at all. And as I was doing some research, I was like, who uses this? Like, who is the kind of person that would see this and then feel relieved that they suddenly don't have to respect anyone else around them? And I figured out kind of a profile of someone who would want to use this mentality, and I want you to see if you relate to this, which let's hope you don't, or if you know anyone that this this relates to, because if you're in your late teens and early 20s, you probably interact with people like this all the time. This problem is getting, like, worse. The thing about this mindset is that at first, it was supposed to enable young women to stop falling into the people-pleasing trap, so instead of considering literally everybody else and never yourself, it taught you to put yourself first and identify your own needs and then be bold in achieving those things and going out and getting what you want or fulfilling your own desires, and I feel like that's a very powerful thing. And inherently, a tool that is used for that isn't bad. But it was taken to a very dark extreme, and the worst of us are now weaponizing it against everybody that they know. Unfortunately, at first this mindset was used to showcase how young women everywhere don't need to be these apologizing machines that don't know anything other than, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry for bothering you, I'm so sorry for asking, like, things like that, kind of helping the more, like, people pleaser, like, pushover type of girl, and I totally get that. As someone who always falls into, like, over apologizing, I really do need tools to help me quit doing that. But now this mentality has been taken to a place where none of us should follow. Mahaly Kuzik from the Pepperdine Graphic verbalizes just this. These trends have a shared underlying implication. Caring less is positive and caring more is negative. Caring less will lead to having a stronger base for personal power because you are unshaken by those around you. Caring more will lead to weakness in the form of being needy and vulnerable. And this quote describes exactly the problem here. Caring does require vulnerability, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't care at all. This people-pleasing extreme that this tool was used to combat is inherently worth combating. We should not be accepting this people-pleasing lifestyle of constantly putting everybody else over you for no reason at all, never prioritizing yourself, and having virtually no backbone. That is not something that I am okay with, and I'm not trying to condone that kind of behavior either. But since this mentality, this I don't owe you anything mentality, isn't really a solution, but rather a representation of the opposite pole, it's not helpful. Extreme solutions don't fit ordinary problems, and this isn't a solution at all. It's actually just introducing a whole new plethora of issues that have very steep implications for not only the people doing this, but everybody around them that's on the butt end of this awful treatment. I mean, it's truly been taken to the worst side of this gradient, and people use it for very evil reasons. Like, I'm convinced this is something that is so weird. Like, just being allergic to caring for people, like, why is that? Like, I'm just shocked that this is the peg that a lot of people are hanging their hats on, if that makes sense. Because people get to use this mindset to mentally justify their lack of respect for other people, and it truly enables everybody that uses it to go extended periods of time without taking any accountability for their actions. People use this mentality to justify their lack of respect for others on the most basic levels, like holding a door open for a stranger, giving a friend a call, or offering a stranger a tampon if they need one. The problem with people that use this mentality is oftentimes they're the least empathetic of us. They're the people that care about others the least. They're the people that don't want anything to do with taking part in something bigger than them. These people don't have any innate need to just be kind for the sake of being kind. They can't understand and conceptualize that other people are just as human as them, just as deserving of honor and dignity as them, and just as deserving of respect. While this mindset probably started as something that was very productive and that a very small select few people do need to understand that they don't have to be constant people pleasers, and that might be true, for most of us, if we adopted this mentality, we would take it way too far and to the extreme end, because it's incredibly easy for people who already lack empathy to take something like this and weaponize it against everybody that they interact with. So now that we've gotten into who uses this mentality, I want to talk about when and how this is used, because I'm finding that a growing number of people who aren't using this mentality but receiving treatment from people who aren't really being able to identify exactly how they're feeling and exactly what the other person is doing to them. It's 100% a manipulation tactic, but I don't think that it's verbalized enough to the point where it's on the public consciousness of we need to watch out for these specific things. So I'm going to paint a picture for you on the things that you might be receiving from peers, colleagues, and even friends that are exactly like this and exemplify this exact kind of extreme mentality of the fact that they think that they don't owe you anything. Not basic respect, not conversation, not clarity, and not empathy at all. The only reason that manipulation is powerful is because it flies under the radar, but when we're aware of these kinds of things and we know what to look out for and we know how to retrospectively look back on the things that have been done to us and identify where those came from, we are going to be smarter the next time that we interact with someone like this, and we're going to be able to identify that and pull the rug out from under them. One thing about me, I hate being manipulated. Any individual that's faced with a relational challenge, like a fight or an argument, a disagreement, or even a mistake in one of their friendships or relationships that doesn't want to take accountability, would love to use this mentality as a one-size-fits-all band-aid to cover up the fact that they actually need to either make a change or say sorry for something that they've done wrong. This mentality is a cover-up that stops people from having to do the right thing. The right thing could be something as simple as, hey, so sorry for that, shouldn't have done that, won't do it next time, to actually making a change and actually doing something better for the people that you love. It's honestly extremely dangerous to live life feeling like you have no obligation to be a kind person or no obligation to do what you say you're going to do, because what is this going to create? This is just going to create a society of young women who compete and distrust one another. And we're already doing a lot of that. We don't need any more. The right thing could be offering clarity, apologizing, explaining yourself, or even making up for something. But when you say, well, I don't owe you anything, you immediately abnegate all of the responsibility that you should be taking in that situation to fix the problem that you created. So if someone in your life is refusing to fix a problem for you, and they're just refusing to acknowledge that they've done anything wrong, and even if they did acknowledge that they had a wrongdoing, they still wouldn't do a single thing about it, it's probably because deep down, they don't think of you as equals. They think of themselves as superior and you as inferior, and they don't owe you a single thing in the world because you are not an equal to them. I think the scariest iteration of what this means is people just not keeping their word anymore. So when someone thinks or says or acts in a way that reflects, I don't owe you anything, that implies that somebody else believes that they're owed something by this person. I'm trying not to get convoluted here, but this is really important to grasp. If someone's telling you that you owe them something, and you're like, no I don't, they're gonna feel like they're not getting what they're owed. And most of the time, we are owed things. Especially in friendships and relationships. We are owed a lot of things when you claim to have a relationship with someone. And even when you don't, even as strangers, you are owed basic decency and respect. So the scariest part about this to me is that people just don't give one crap about what their word means anymore. I was raised to think that my word and my reputation and my trustworthiness was all I had. And I fully believe that to this day. I think everybody should. This is how I'm going to raise my children, and I only interact with people who I can trust because our word does mean something. So in this exact situation, when you believe you're owed something and the other person is acting as if they don't owe you a single thing, it's probably because you had the premise that they were going to offer you something along those lines. So I'll give you a perfect example. Let's just say my mom didn't feed me dinner one night. I'd be like, Mom, where's dinner? And she'd say, oh, I don't owe you anything. And I'd say, well, you feed me every other night. I expected you to feed me. Because we had that relational standard between us and she broke it, I would be owed something. I would feel like an expectation was not met, and there would be a conversation that needed to have been had. So while that's a silly example and my mother has fed me every single day of my life and I absolutely love my mom, it's very easy to understand how when you're in a relationship that's dependent between one or both of the individuals in that relationship, it's extremely hard to just go about your life believing you don't owe a single person anything, because then you don't have to fulfill the expectations they have for you, and you don't have to honor the word that you've told them, and you definitely don't have to honor the standards that have been established between the two of you. A writer from The Gaping Void says, back in the old days, think ancient Greek or Viking times, our word was considered very important. We took an oath very seriously, and if we broke our word, we could easily face expulsion from the tribe and a very grim time of things, maybe even death. In modern times, when we have things like the I don't owe you anything mentality gaining popularity on social media and gaining popularity in the people's minds that don't want to have a single bit of accountability or responsibility for anybody other than themselves, it can be extremely hard to know who you can trust and who you can't. And I want to make it clear that this was not always a problem. People used to care. The writer continues, if you get someone's word, but there's only a 50-50 chance they follow through, and the only alternative is a messy tangle of paperwork, tracking, and surveillance, it's like we're wading through deep snow. Every step is harder than it should be, and in a modern economy where speed is the lifeblood of a company, this friction can be a death sentence. Maybe our ancestors were onto something. One reason companies with great cultures can run rings around their competition is that not everything has to be written down and signed in blood. People say what they'll do and do what they say. Our word actually means something, and everybody wins. If you think that keeping your word is some steep challenge, sometimes it could be, but the beautiful and powerful thing about about keeping your word to people and being known as a trustworthy person is that every single human being has the same opportunity to do that as the next. You can have $0 to your name or $100 billion to your name, and people will still care if they can trust you or not. You can still have the same capacity to be seen as a trustworthy confidant or a flaky liar as the next person. People who keep their word in today's day and age are so rare, so if you want to stand out, just do that. If you want to stand out in a job application, be trustworthy. If you want to be cherished by your friends, show up for them. And if you want to be honored in your workplace, do what you say you're going to do. This is deeper than just honesty, although that is a huge part in this. However, this is more. It means showing up for everyone you interact with, offering basic respect and kindness to others, and caring for people for their personhood's sake. I keep saying how dangerous this mentality is, but I want to get deeper into the implications that this actually really has on our society today. I'm a Gen Z person myself, I'm 20 years old, and I see this up close and personal in my daily life constantly. I interact with classmates every single day who couldn't be bothered to give basic respect to their peers or even their professor. I constantly see people with their headphones in during class, not paying attention, not offering notes to kids that have missed classes for being sick, whatever it may be. I see classmates every single day who just could not be bothered to be kind at all. I'm a content creator with over 200,000 followers on all of my accumulated platforms, which gives me the credibility to understand how young adults act in this space, and I receive so much hate from young women just like me who couldn't be bothered to offer basic respect even behind a screen to a stranger on the internet. There is a common thread in all of these people. They just don't care to be kind. They just don't care to be respectful. They just don't care to do a single thing if they're also not gaining something from that situation. I want to make this super clear. It's not that they can't be kind. It's not that they have an inability to show kindness to people. It's that they don't want to if they're not getting anything out of it. It's that since they're not benefiting, they don't have a reason to be. I mean, this implication is so daunting and scary. Like, you have to be worth it to earn basic kindness and respect? You have to be worth it to be treated like a human? No. If you have to be emotionally bribed to show respect to somebody, you have a huge problem. We are social creatures who are designed to interact with one another and have community with one another, and this is detrimental to our own human nature. You do not get to play God and decide who is and who isn't worthy of basic human decency and humanity. Requiring an enticement to show respect or to honor our shared humanity is completely destroying our communities today. It is ruining our relationships with one another, and it is killing our social lives. This mindset is seeping its gross, dirty claws into every area of my life. I'm seeing this every single place that I go, whether it is online or in person. Writer Nadia Mele says on Substack, "In my eyes, owing each other is basic care. It means respect. Looking out for someone even if they're a stranger. It means to consider for a moment how someone else is feeling." And she's right. We do owe people. Elizabeth Fernie from the Courier at Newcastle writes, "But truth be told, we do actually owe each other a lot, especially those that you have a relationship with. Whether someone is your best friend, significant other, detached roommate, or even a stranger you pass by on campus, I would argue that you owe everyone baseline levels of respect, kindness, and empathy." And she's also right. That's completely true. I cannot believe I'm making a video about this, to be honest with you. So what can we do about this? Because you and I agree that it's not some giant accomplishment to just hold a door open for a stranger, be kind to someone, or show basic respect to another human being. But a growing percentage of our society is not in agreement with us. We actively have to take action if we're going to fix this, because I believe that we totally can. I mean, this has only been a problem for a few years, but we actually do have to put in some very intentional work here. So if you're also bothered that respect is something that can be earned rather than something that's inherent between all of us, please do these things. Do the opposite. Overflow kindness as much as you can. Give every single stranger you see the compliment that you think in the back of your head. Be as loving as possible. When you make a promise, keep it. When you make a claim, honor it. Treat humans humanely. Offer the explanations. Give the closure. Have the conversations. Say uplifting things, online and in person. Cyberbullying in 2025 is so weird. Be a safe person. Let your behavior reflect what you think is right. Be secure in the ways that you treat and act around others. And let your life be a reflection of the treatment that you want to be given. Mahaly Cusick also writes, You do owe people some things. In fact, you probably owe a lot of people a lot of things. Maybe even everyone, simply for the fact that they are sharing the human experience with you and they feel. And the last thing that I'll ask of you is not to tolerate this allergy to accountability that has a growing prevalence in today's day and age. Do not be willing to encourage or enable the behaviors that exhibit this underlying mindset in the people around you. Find better friends than people who treat you like that. Find better partners than people who treat you like that. Just find better people to keep company. All this goes to say is that showing basic kindness and respect is the bare minimum. The people who don't believe that are dysfunctional members of society. They don't need our time or our attention in ways that enable this kind of behavior until they show that they can prove themselves not to act in this way. Because this mindset is so insanely disruptive to society, it must be eradicated. And that doesn't mean that the people who are doing this don't obviously deserve respect and kindness, because they do, because they're a person, but this mindset can be completely removed, and it has to be. Sometimes choosing kindness is hard, but it's worth it every time. Honoring other people can be challenging, but it's necessary. And being trustworthy is an uphill battle, but it's a battle that must be fought. If we're not careful, this mindset is going to infect every single area of our lives. If you want to see a change, you have to be the change. Alright y'all, that was the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I read all of my comments, so if you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, please comment them below and I will respond. As always, I'm so grateful for your time. I'm so happy I got to talk to you today, and I hope you have a very blessed day. Bye!